All right, man. Next, we got to talk about is TJ Watt, bro. TJ Watt, first off, because, you know, our boy Jeremy Fowler, he gave us the rankings again, and we talked about previous show in terms of how the rankings typically go. With the ESPN list, it holds a little bit more weight just because of the people that are asked to vote. With the other list that you typically see, whether it's PFF, whether it's NFL.com, Sports Illustrated, those are all just by not even, I guess they're studio analysts, some of their writers and stuff like that, but not football executives and GMs that are current. What Jeremy Fowler does, he asks current NFL executives in the AFC and NFC to speak on and rank these players. So it, like I said, it holds a little bit more validation to it. It's kind of like how we view All Pro versus the Pro Bowl. So in this list, they ranked the NFL's top edge rushers, because remember we said with PFF, they said edge defender. We was like, all right, you want to go defender, we got you. Okay, you want to pull a little fast one, put Khalil Mack, we'll talk about it, but it is what it is. But this one they classified as edge rusher. And this is where it got a little spicy here, man. So do you have the list available to you?
Yep.
All right. So if you could read off the top 10 first, and then after that, we will give our reactions to, you know, Mr. TJ not being numero uno.
I'm going to go 10-1.
Yeah, I was say, give a little suspense on it, man.
All right. Number 10, Danielle Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Number 9.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It's Danielle, though. The Minnesota cat, right?
I think I got it.
You sure? I thought he pronounced it Danielle.
Danielle?
No, I thought he pronounced it Danielle.
Danielle.
Yeah, because Danielle is Gallinari. I thought that was a shooter for basketball.
He got that O at the end. Danilo.
I don't know, but you could check. I'm pretty certain he pronounced it Danielle, though.
I'll go.
Yeah. You might be right, though.
We'll go Hunter. We'll say Hunter. Hunter from the Vikings.
You might be right. All right. Well, Manuel says you saying it right. All right, go with you then. Yeah.
Cam Jordan, Saints.
Okay.
Nick Bosa.
Okay.
49ers.
Okay.
Chase Young, Washington football team.
All right. I like it.
Von Miller, Denver Broncos.
Shout out to Von.
Chandler Jones, number 5. Yeah, did I even say the numbers? I'm just that was 10-6 right there. Von Miller was 6.
Start. All right. I might have threw you off when I was going at the name. So yeah. All right. So you got Danielle Hunter at 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cam Jordan at 9.
Okay.
Nick Bosa at 8.
All right. There we go.
Yeah, because I was saying the name and then their team, not just excluding the number. Chase Young, 7. Von Miller at 6.
Shout out to Von. All right.
Chandler Jones at 5. So we're all caught up.
Okay, we back on schedule now.
Khalil Mack at 4.
Oh, okay.
Joey Bosa at 3.
All right. That's little Joey, right? No, that's Big Joey. Big Joey is...
He's older than Nick.
Yeah, Nick is the little one in San Fran.
Yeah.
Yep.
TJ Watt at 2. And then Myles Garrett at 1.
Interesting. Okay.
You have outrage about this one?
Okay. Can we hear why? Or should we just react? Should we hear why, or do we just react?
Why Myles Garrett?
Why Myles at 1 and why TJ at 2? That's what I need to hear first before I give you my full reaction.
Okay, I'll go with TJ
Let's
first.
see what they say, because there might be a reason, right?
There's not a category that Watt doesn't dominate.
Okay.
Not only did he lead the league in pass rush win rate, but his 4 pass rush interceptions created tied for first. And his 40 caused incompletions led the NFL by a wide margin. So he's kind of first in a lot of these stats right here.
Okay.
Aaron Donald was the next closest at 30. TJ's 15.5 sacks and 23 tackles for the loss led the league. Oh yeah, Watt can play the run, cover tight ends if the defense needs. Incredibly productive player in every phase. An NFC exec said that. Probably has the best combination of motor and smarts in the league, wins with intelligence, effort, technique, and positioning. All these factors make a compelling case for Watt on the top spot. Some evaluators consider him an overachiever. Truth is...
What? Overachiever? Oh, they shit.
Truth is, he may not be the best athlete in his own position. An NFC defensive coach said, referring to former teammate Bud Dupree. Yeah, I mean...
So what is the knock on him?
I don't know.
Is the knock that he's an overachiever?
He's not the most explosive guy, but he's so damn relentless and smart and technically perfect. I was going to say perfected. Perfect. That he just wins. He'll probably have a Hall of Fame career for all those reasons.
So, overachiever and not the best athlete is their knock on him. All right. What did they say about Myles?
Isn't that what people said about Brady?
It seemed like, but it seemed like the whole article was a positive as heck about TJ, except a overachiever, air quotes, and being less athletic than Bud Dupree, which wasn't anything that anyone didn't know. I mean, we all said Bud's a freak athlete, but we always say the difference between being a great athlete and being a great player.
Garrett and TJ Watt traded first place votes throughout the process, with Garrett winning out based on his magnificent traits.
Now, question, do they say how many first place votes he got compared to TJ?
No, they just
said he won out, but I wanted to know. Like,
they just said his highest ranking was 1, his lowest ranking was 8. Last year's ranking was 5. TJ's, it's the same thing. Highest ranking was 1. Somehow his lowest ranking was 8. Like TJ, to have TJ and Myles Garrett at 8 for some reason? What's going on?
Oh my God. Just when you think these NFL execs, you can trust them. Oh, Lord.
I don't know. Yeah, PFF. Well, I can't say PFF because didn't they have Khalil Mack
rated
over
above
TJ?
him. Yeah.
They both had him at 2, though.
Yeah.
All right. So asking GMs which pass rusher around. Wait, what? I think there's a mistype here. Yeah, there's definitely a miss. Asking general managers which pass rusher, I can't speak. Pass rusher around which, no, we're good. Which they'd build a defense. Most said Garrett.
Moats or most?
Most.
Oh, okay.
Evaluators weren't as sold before last season when they felt Garrett underachieved and would get washed out by a good blocking scheme or seasoned left tackle. He was also coming off a 6-game suspension. No longer. Absolutely made a massive jump last year, a veteran AFC defensive coach said. From a physical standpoint, setting the edge, and as a pass rusher, he's just gifted. He put it all together. He was so difficult to deal with, snap in and snap out. His pass rush win rate of 26.3 last season ranked 3rd among edge rushers despite facing 104 double teams.
That's a ton of double teams.
He won on 15 of those, which is 14.4%, which ranked 12 in the league. Yeah. He led all edge rushers in sacks created, 16.5, a stat that takes into account plays in which his...
What was this stat called? Sacks created?
I guess.
Oh, bro, y'all, man, what are we doing?
They're making stuff up.
What are we doing here? Sacks created is a stat now?
So it's probably just his sacks plus like maybe 1 or 2 that he had an effect on. I don't know.
Stop this, bro. All right, I'm with it. Let's go with it.
Takes into account plays in which his pressure resulted in a sack for a teammate. Okay, so that's not including his sacks. That's including
that's what he did for other people.
Just strictly the other players.
Okay.
I mean, how do you gauge that? He caused 29 incompletions.
I was like, what? Sacks
4th in the league.
created?
Garrett has recorded at least 18 quarterback hits in all 4 of his NFL seasons.
Yo, next thing gonna be hitting you with the stat of, this receiver opened up yards for these players right here. So anytime somebody else catches a pass, if he was on the field, that's a plus for him.
Sure. Built out of a lab, here, 0 weaknesses, power, bend, and speed.
You said 0 weaknesses?
That's what an AFC scout said. Yeah. But that's it. That's it for Myles Garrett.
Okay. So yeah, upon hearing the things that you just said, my feelings have not changed one bit from when you first read off the list. This list is unreal. I mean, I do like the names. I do think that they have the correct guys on the list in terms of how I would view my top 10. I might switch out.
Didn't they have Chandler Jones on the PFF? They had him at like 15 or 16?
Correct. Yeah, I might switch out a couple of the guys' orders just because, like, a guy like Von Miller and Chandler Jones, they didn't play last year, right?
Because of injuries. Up a little bit.
Correct. Like, I would make moves like that, but I do think they have it right in terms of the top 10 guys. But to me, when I think of TJ Watt, the words that they're using as a knock on him, I look at the opposite way. If you're telling me that this guy isn't as athletic as Myles Garrett, who you said is a perfect specimen, but yet he outproduces this guy, you're also going to tell me that he's an overachiever. Overachievers typically, that's short-lived. These guys been playing for a couple of years now. Myles has one really good year, like how, on par with what TJ done, but TJ's put together a nice body of work here. So even if he's a quote-unquote overachiever, he's been overachieving a lot better than what Myles Garrett has been doing. So even with that logic, I don't get it. Now, if we want to go to the age thing,
it's 1 year.
It's 1 year. 25 versus 26. So that still doesn't hold a lot of weight for me either. I look at it like this, man. The only way that I could put Myles ahead is if I was just basically saying to myself, I'm going to start with one of these 2 guys, but there is a chance that they could not be their best version, right? Myles, based on his physical appearance, right? The strength, the size that he has, in theory, you would assume that he should be able to do bare minimum stuff out there. Whereas with TJ, he doesn't look as physically dominant. He's not as athletic. So if he wasn't the great player that he is, and we had to have like a bare bones version of TJ, where would that be? But either of those scenarios aren't realistic.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's not realistic. Like, for me to assume that both of these guys are going to play terrible,
you're basically saying like, hey, let's go back and draft these guys.
Right.
That's why Myles Garrett went 1 overall. TJ went 30.
Exactly.
But now we're sitting here with all the body of work, and you don't expect TJ to be slowing down anytime soon.
And that's my thing. I'm like, he's not even, I don't even feel like he's all the way in his prime. He's starting to come into it. But to me, man, TJ is he's been the more productive player. He's been the more available player as well. That's another thing that gets lost in this. Now, when I talk availability, I'm always careful with this, because with Myles Garrett, based on the amount of games that he's played in, the amount of snaps he's had, if we're talking just productivity on a per play basis or per rate, they're close. Mm-hmm. But Myles has still missed a ton of time, whether it's from injuries or suspension. So I'm not going to use that as a knock on TJ and say, well, their numbers will still be on par per capita or per play, when availability is a big deal. If I can't count on you to be out there, whether it's because of injury or because of suspension, then yeah, I'm not going to have this guy rated ahead of the guy that I know is going to give me more productivity. And I can depend on him being out there every single game. Literally, the 2 games that TJ's missed have been when we've locked up playoff spots and he didn't need to go risk the injury. That's it. Myles is not the same. Myles has missed some time. So, and we're not going to get into, whether he was right or wrong in terms of him missing that time from the suspension and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, he did miss time. He has missed like multiple games here. And we've seen that impact that it's had on that defense. Now, both of those guys are critically important to their defense. I would probably make a case that Myles is probably a little bit more important to Cleveland because he doesn't have a Minkah Fitzpatrick out there with him. Whereas obviously we've had Minkah, and then we knew we had Bud for a little while, Cam into. We know our defense is pretty stacked here. But still, I just can't understand how you would go Myles Garrett in 2021 over TJ Watt. The year that TJ Watt came off of last year. Yeah. If it wasn't for Aaron Donald, he's a clear-cut defense player of the year. You can still make the case that he was the defense player of the year last year. The bigger thing was just...
Yeah, it was probably 50-50.
Right, it was just what's more impressive. A guy doing it as a D-tackle, or a guy doing it as an outside linebacker. And that was personal preference. But he was still very much in that conversation. Myles, he's getting there. But Myles, I look at Myles kind of like how we talked about with Tuitt last time. We really saw them come on in a big way last season. But I'm not ready to just crown them off of that one season.
Sure.
Especially when you're talking about putting them ahead of guys who've done that for multiple seasons now. Because even though it's still a great thing to do, it's a lot easier to do it one time than it is to have to do it multiple times when people know.
Yeah, you've seen it with how many now?
Absolutely, man.
Stuff like Mario Williams, good example. With Myles Garrett, I think he was the one guy whenever we were talking about the PFF stuff, we were like, okay, we could kind of see it if you're going to put Myles Garrett over TJ Watt, but we're still for sure going TJ. Now, because with Garrett, he obviously has the upside and the potential, but TJ's stats across the board are completely better. Yes. We were more pissed off about them like, hey, why are you putting Khalil Mack over TJ Watt? Like, obviously, TJ should be one. Now, there's going to be guys, and obviously this, that think, if you're going into next season, could Myles Garrett have like a 20, 21, 22 sack type of season? I don't think anyone would be like completely surprised or thrown off like that, where he's like coming into his own. But TJ, he could do that too, and he's on that type of trajectory. He's got the body of work. We've talked about this.
He's flirted with it, right? Yeah, what, 15? 15 and a half last year?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you add the extra game. It's not completely out of question that TJ could do it. But he
does a really good job of getting them sacks in flurries, like two in a sack, or 2 in a game, 3 in a game. Like, he has that as well.
But you add that he's been doing it over the past, what's he been in the league, 3-4 seasons?
Yeah.
Compared to Myles Garrett. I mean, you brought up all the points. I mean, we're Steeler fans. We are going to be a little bit biased, but I don't think it's so far out there to have TJ Watt as number one, especially when you consider he was in the mix for Defensive Player of the Year back-to-back seasons, whereas Myles Garrett missed these games. He's obviously the first overall pick for a reason and has this type of talent. And if you're picking a game tomorrow, you want a guy. All right, if you're picking Myles Garrett, I'm not like going to argue with you about that. But TJ Watt's just put together a more impressive career thus far. Yeah, and he's not slowing down. That's the thing. Like, they're both about to hit their primes. I don't expect TJ to just fall off a cliff here.
I don't either. And I guess for me, man, I don't know. I just keep getting bothered by the overachiever and not as athletic as Bud, like when he was talking about the athletic ability. Because I think of two players that I was teammates with for multiple years. Very different in terms of athletic ability, but at the same time, drastically different in terms of productivity. But I would take the unathletic guy every single day of the week.
Sure.
And the two guys are this: Mario Williams, you remember him? Houston Texans, $100 million guy, first $100 million contract for a defender. And James Harrison. James was nowhere near the athlete of Mario Williams. Mario Williams is the guy you want coming off the bus first. Similar to Myles Garrett. They come off the bus first, shirt off, man. They look perfect, right? Can't beat them. It's like, oh, man, it's big muscle. I mean, you saw when he came on NFL, was the NFL draft with the suit and all the muscles and everything. I mean, it looked like you when you work out Brad Pitt style. We know this. But the productivity with Mario Williams, right? It never really lived up to what it could have been. It was always like, yo, he's productive, but we feel like he could do way more than that. And with Myles, how many times have we said with Myles, like, yo, he looks like he should be the best player out here every single time, but you always feel like you want a little bit more with him. Then I think of James Harrison. Wasn't the best athlete, worked hard. You call him overachiever, but he overachieved his whole career. So I don't think that makes him overachiever. I think that makes him just a really productive player. But you think about him, right? He was going to win every time. He was going to be productive. Run game, pass game, it did not matter. What can we say about TJ? TJ's not the best athlete. We said TJ wasn't the best athlete in his own position room.
That's why he was. He was drafted at the end of the first round. Like, that's the thing. There's a reason Myles Garrett was picked one. There's a reason. Where did we take Bud Dupree? Was it in the teens or was it in the 20s?
He might have been in the 20s because I think Shazier was in the teens.
Yeah, Shazier was like 15, I think.
Shazier was like 15. So then Bud was either 16 or 20-ish, probably in that range, if I can remember correctly.
And he slid. Like, people thought he was going to go higher, actually. Mm-hmm. But yeah, TJ, that's what they were doing. They were projecting him end of first round. And that's what you get, man. I mean, he's just been more productive throughout his career completely.
Yeah, that's my I like that. I just don't understand it, bro.
I like that point you brought up. Like, you're putting all this stuff out there. You're putting these gaudy numbers up. Like, who do you want? I want the guy putting these numbers up.
I want the guy who I know is going to produce, who I can count on to be out there every time. Who also, if it is some type of controversy, he's not going to be a hothead in the situation. I've seen TJ in some hot situations, man. As a rookie, he handled it well. That's all I'm going to say. He handled it well. It involved bodily fluids being directed towards him. He handled it better than me. He handled it better than Bud. We was on a different energy. But TJ, he handled it like a professional. And that, to me, I'm like, we've seen Myles in a situation where, right or wrong, who said what? He did not handle it that way. We saw he reacted in that situation, regardless of the instigator. We saw his action after the fact. With TJ wasn't the instigator, and TJ still handled it like a professional. And outside of me, Bud, and probably two other players, the details of everything, no one would even see it because of how he handled it. So to me, I'm like, I like that as well. So even with that, I'm just like, how do you have Myles ahead of TJ? I just don't get it, man.
Hey, not the end of the world, because it seems TJ is pretty motivated from the Defensive Player of the Year snub. Yeah. Posted the Jordan meme. Mm-hmm. He's probably going to ball out. He's going to get a big contract. Myles Garrett already got his contract. But
yeah, he did. He definitely did, man.
Yeah, I'm not complaining too much. I mean, number 2 is pretty nice. We all agree that he should be number 1. Myles Garrett is pretty damn good, but we think it should be TJ over.
Man, it's going to be interesting, though, when they do these quarterback ratings. I want to hear this. Number 2 is all right.
Oh, I'm going to be pissed off. They're not even going to have him in the top 10. I know that for a fact.
No, I'm not worried. I want to see top 15 because the honorable mentions.
They might,
in the honorable mentions.
They might not have him at 15, to be honest with you, the way people are talking. PFF ranked him at 6. PFF ranked him at 16, so
I'm interested to see that, man.
I'm desensitized, dude, to be honest with you.
You don't seem like you're desensitized.
I'm ready for the season.
Your whole demeanor just changed when I just brought that up. Like, beforehand, when you were like, TJ Watt at number 2, I mean, it's all right. 2's cool. Your demeanor when we said Ben, everything just shifted.
But this is
everything just shifted. I love when I get you like that. I love it.
Think of
7, man.
Think of Minka at 5, though.
Yeah.
Think if we had TJ at 5. That's how I feel about if you're putting Ben in like the team. Like, come on, bro.
Okay. I'm with it. Now,
so it layers to it. Like TJ's only one spot off. We were more pissed off about the PFF because it was Khalil Mack. In this case, like we see Myles Garrett's greatness, but TJ's. Well, I mean, we've said all the points.
Yeah.
We've said all the points.
It's clear. Like it is definitely clear. And even in the chat, it looks like they're agreeing as well. I asked them would they rather have Myles Garrett or TJ Watt, because like I said, it's a difference of styles of players. And some people do like just the great athlete, the physical specimen who probably has the higher floor, lower ceiling. Whereas with TJ, or excuse me, I said that backwards. Higher ceiling, lower floor. Whereas with TJ has the higher floor, lower ceiling on him. So just depending on personal preference, how people view him. But it looks like a lot of the people are saying TJ. Richard McKinney says TJ. Call Me K says, give me TJ, no doubt. John Doe says TJ also. Anthony Martinez, give me TJ at 1. Now, Call Me K says we may be biased, but it's fair bias.
I do. That's how I felt about Minkah Fitzpatrick. It was like, all right, if you don't want to put him at number 1, whatever, because there's a lot of good safeties here. He's at least in the top 2 or 3. Easily, and that's how we feel about TJ. You got him in the top 2, whatever. At least it's Myles Garrett this time and not Khalil Mack.
Correct.
But still, it should be TJ Watt at 1.
Yeah. And Trina Still Diva says, no question, Trent Jordan Watt. I like that. I'm with it, man. Ooh, I'm with it. And now Still a Nation 412 says Watt will show up in the playoffs very soon also. Because he hasn't had a lot of experience in the 17 is rookie year, and then last season.
Oh, last year was a disaster.
Yeah.
For the defensive line. That was a disaster.
That was it. So, whew. Yeah.
Because I don't remember Myles Garrett really having a game against us last year.
No. I think what was the year? I don't remember.
I'm just thinking in the playoffs.
Oh, and I don't remember the
playoff game. Because TJ Watt has had success against the Browns.
The playoff game was so out of control. Like, I don't even.
We got down so much.
It just happened so fast, bro. Like, I can't tell you if he was dominant. I don't know. It just them, those guys in the Brown, they just seem really dominant right then, man.
I still didn't. I wasn't believing it too. I was not believing it. We started coming back a little. We had the momentum.
Yeah.
I'll never. Oh man,
it was gory at times, though. Lord, whew. That was rough. That was rough at that time. We don't need any more games like that. And we said it. We said that game kind of reminded us of, a little bit of that Thursday night one, man, when it kind of it wasn't as bad from a scoring standpoint, where we just felt like
the Mason one.
Yeah, where we just kept feeling like it was more self-inflicted a lot of the times. So like we gave them their respect. We said like, man, the snap. Okay, now it's this. Now it's that. It seems like we're doing some of this, we
were. I mean,
and it was back to back to back. It was crazy.
The spread was, I think, 6 points. Yeah. So right there, you even the spread right there.
Yeah.
And we did bring it back to, I think it was within 12. Yeah. We had the ball and we ended up punting. Mm-hmm. But like at that point, if we didn't do the snap thing and we played the exact same way, same shitty way,
right on.
We're only down 5 at that point. Mm-hmm. I think it might be a little bit of a different story too, with how the Browns are playing and stuff.
Yeah. But it's one of them things, man. We're going to have to figure it out next year, man. We get 2 opportunities at him at least, though.
Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. I'm not that worried about the Browns, to be honest. I know I said this last year, but I think Baker's going to limit them.
I keep hearing a lot of people are saying another thing, man. A lot of people are extremely excited about Baker.
I know.
And a lot of people are starting to think that 7 is going to limit us, which is unique.
It's a shame.
It's unique.
It's a shame people think that way. I feel bad for them. And that's why I'm just excited for the season to come around, because now I don't have to listen to these crappy takes anymore.